Another Wednesday. You know what this week flew by? It's Wednesday
They
again.
go by fast, man.
BMore4Real, because it's Wednesday night.
Let me make sure my phone don't vibrate and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Phone. Silent.
Man, we appreciate everybody for joining us, man.
We appreciate ourselves for being here this week. You know what I mean?
We live, man. Episode number 16. Okay. Yeah.
Welcome again. I am Uncle Wayne.
And I'm OG Gang, man.
And this is
Let's go. BMore4Real, yo.
BMore4Real.
Man, we is in the building like no other. You best to believe it. Uncle Wayne is here. Man, I'm glad to see you for another Wednesday, man. Just like once a week, you feel me? It's not enough, but that's where we at right now.
These days and be more.
Yeah, man.
Just to get through another week. Talking about a blessing within a blessing. You know, you hear so much the whole entire week about so many things that's happening in BMore because we are angry with each other. And I don't know why, y'all. Every place I go in BMore, we are just at each other's throats. And it's the pettiest things when you hear someone out there, and they be yelling and screaming about to kill each other. And then when you hear what is forced, like, are you for real?
For real.
And when they calm down, they best friends, you see them later on hanging out. I'm like, what is going on?
There's a lot of stuff that be going on out here, man.
Your age group versus my age group makes it different. Like I said, I'm 60, and God bless that I am. Tell me what's going on with y'all. And fill me in on BMore4Real.
I mean, you'll be surprised what people talk about, but I think what people don't talk about is the main things that we do need to talk about, which is why we have the BMore4Real. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about those things and we bring those things to the forefront, which those people never ever talk about. You feel what I'm saying? So it's ultra important that we talking about, teachers and education and protecting our futures. And let's just go right into it. Let's just go right into it.
Get into it.
Protecting our future.
Because our children are our future.
Our children are our future, and you can see that the
slogan as it may be,
that the youth learning is at a decline. You understand what I'm saying? You can see that the youth learning is at a decline. So, I mean, we have,
according to those statistics,
according to those,
but youth is not behind at all. If you keep judging them from white man standards, yeah, they're behind. But I see them all day, every day. It's nothing behind about them at all. We know it's not.
Right.
The school may say they can't comprehend, but I see them on an everyday ordinary. They can comprehend very well. Maybe it's not the kids. Maybe it's the curriculum. Hey, think about it. I'm 60. I'm twice your age. You half my age. Maybe think about the curriculum.
Right. Well,
could that be it?
I mean, the curriculum has something to do with it, but for
something,
huh? Yeah, for me though, the younger generations, which are coming after us, are supposed to be greater than us, and they're not supposed to go through those downfalls and those pitfalls and stuff like we do. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to guide them through that because we already been there. Even though we're in the computer age and technology, a lot of us aren't computer and technology savvy. You understand what I'm
Oh,
saying?
boy.
But that is the society that we live in now. You don't just go door to door and stuff like that, knocking on people's doors for sales. Now they do it online and stuff like that. They do it in commercials like they've been had, but now it's even more online. It's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitch, it's on all the streaming platforms or and what have you. So like that's the main thing though. I mean, our kids, even though they have access to a lot more things, to me, which is why we being more for real about. This is what we being more for real about. Even though the kids have more access to things, I think that they are becoming dumber with each generation. I remember my uncle used to say, the older you get, it's like the older you get, the dumber you get. The older you get, the dumber you get. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but now I understand what that means.
But in that case, the young uncle was right. We're getting older because I'm older than you, but that doesn't mean the younger ones are getting dumber. Listen, let me explain something to you. The reason why they're that way, they're bucking on the curriculum that we're saying. Because watch this.
Right.
Just like my generation, we had to dial a phone. I'm going to show you from my generation. Let me show you how the difference
You gonna
between the
take it back?
generations. I'm going to have to bring it
You
back.
gonna
If we wanted to find something, we had to open up a yellow page to find somebody's name and phone number. You actually had to go through an alphabetical because see, that's the technology we had to learn. That's why we had to learn all those things because that's what we had to do. We had to do those things. Like if we had a paper to write, we had to go to encyclopedias. You understand? We didn't pull it up in order. We had to go through there and put this reference with this reference. That's what we had to do. That's why it was different how we read and write and gather information. Now, watch this. The younger generation do not have to do that. Everything is like this. So while we still teaching them to read and write the way we did, when they can pull it up, you're telling them to spell something and write something on paper when they can just pull it up. See, that's the confusion that we have against them. They're letting you know they're way past that. They don't want to do that. You're telling them to do something that the older people used to do that work with how we went to. They are faster, more advanced. So we're going to have to teach them an advanced way. It's not that they're slower. It's just that we are slower to catch up to their learning abilities. They're 10 times smarter than, if you ever talk to a child now, like my nieces and nephew talk to, sometimes I catch them, they 4 years old sounding like an adult. Do you understand? So when they go to school, they are ready. They need a challenge. That old curriculum that we're teaching them is no challenge. That's why we're getting what we get. So listen to this. They're not dumber by a long shot. That's just white men measuring them by those old tests that they doing. But I bet you if black men, watch this, if we lead, redo those curriculums, challenge those kids, I bet you we could get more bang out of our buck. Let's think about it.
Well, I mean, we don't agree on everything here. I think that in this generation, right? And this is the important part. This is the very important part. I think that in this generation, people have come more familiar with complex ideals and um, systems to where as though the fundamental things trip them up. Now, listen to what I'm saying. Notice what I'm saying. It's like people have become so uh, uh, they became learned and let's just say horoscopes. I like to use I like to use horoscopes for an example. People have become so advanced and knowing about horoscopes and things about that, but we don't even know the basic 50 states of America. We don't even know the basic structure of sentences and stuff like that on how we even communicate with one another because at the end of the day, language is how we communicate. And language is contingent upon words, and words are contingent upon definitions, and definitions are contingent upon the alphabet so that they be spelled correctly. So I'm just saying that we know advanced things, and how can we know that advanced things of life and forget about the fundamentals on what makes everything go round? You understand what I'm saying? Those things, those concepts, I think that we're missing, which is why learning starts with elementary. You know what I'm saying? It starts with the elementary. and then
I can
you grow
agree,
up
but
from there.
what are you learning? I can understand that those are the ground rules, but the ground rules for my generation can't be the ground rules for your generation. If that means then there's no growth.
Okay.
So watch this. Look at that curriculum that they're teaching the children now. That's the same curriculum they were teaching myself. I'm 60. Get it? So it's like, and everything else has advanced. So if other things advance, like there's an Old Testament and there's a New Testament. Do you understand? You have to advance. The school system haven't advanced. So our children are not behind. The school system is behind.
What?
Think about it. That let's say our children don't have to catch up to them.
Right.
Let's say because I see them, there's nothing wrong. They are geniuses. If you have conversation, but if you put them on the paperwork, they don't look that way.
Right.
So it's I don't know. It's nothing wrong with them. It's something wrong with the paperwork or the curriculum or the test or that is because they do comprehend very well, but they're not comprehending what you're kicking out. Maybe that could be it. Now remember, if I'm giving this to you, maybe you have to change the curriculum for your children before your grandchildren said I had enough and start bucking on everybody. Get what I'm saying? See the teenagers now, they're beginning to buck because they begin to say, if you don't understand who I am and you don't understand me, you're going to understand one way or another. So do you kind of see what I mean?
Yeah,
Think about it.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and this is the thing where I'm getting at though, because
Talk to
like I mean we have different opinions just like anybody else.
half my age.
I don't particularly believe in like a New Testament as like it's been taught to us and stuff like that. I believe that the what we call the Old Testament is still the basic authority. You know, don't steal. You know, the Ten Commandments and stuff like that. So in order to build upon basic things, you have to start with a foundation. And so what I'm saying is that everything that's in life even has a foundation. You understand what I'm saying? It has a foundation. What I mean by that, let me explain that to y'all too. Let me explain that. So what I mean by that is like in order to build something, you have to have a solid foundation. I mean, you can build stuff on a foundation that's weak or whatever.
But won't hold.
As long as you have a foundation, you can start building upon the foundation. It doesn't matter if it's strong or weak in this particular conversation. But what I'm saying is that you have to start from the bottom up. And the problem with our generation and the younger generation that's coming after us is that they want success overnight. This is what you get this cloud chasing stuff that we keep talking about. When y'all connect the dots, you're going to get it. So what happens is when you try to apply that into real life, which I don't try to argue with anybody or anything like that. What I try to do is basically apply and reason. I try to reason what you're saying. So I try to apply the logic and compare them into real life. So let's say that, you know, a house, the most simple building, and this is crazy too about English. Building can be a noun and a verb because you can be building a building, which is
right.
Which is crazy.
That's a fun fact. It can be if you put it that way.
You could be building. You could be building a building. That's so English is a challenge in itself. I'm not going to deny that.
They need a challenge.
And what I'm saying is though, like let's say you had a building, and the way that you want to construct this building, since we want success overnight, we want to start from the top. We want to start at the top. And so the problem with starting at the top and when you want to start building at the top is that the only way to go is but down. Right. But down.
You have no foundation.
But also it's actually impossible to build a building from the roof down. There's no way to have a roof without the foundation. So if we want to apply what we're saying, we need foundational principles in our community that govern us.
And I agree, but we had to agree on the principles. That's where I'm saying. If we agree on the principles, we can grow from it. Yeah. I don't agree anymore on those principles of school. I just don't. I mean, teach them the basics, the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. Absolutely. We all need to learn the basics. That's just how it is. Teach them the basics and then learn their skills. Let's say if you had a child in school, let's say a black man way of teaching. We're going to tear all that curriculum down. Let's shoot it my way. I'm Uncle Wayne. I go into the school. I'm like, I don't like this curriculum. We're going to change the curriculum. We're going to rip it all down. We're going to do a different curriculum. We're going to teach them the basics, the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. Yeah, we do that. And then after we finish that, we're going to start putting other skills. We're going to learn their skills.
Right.
We're going to look at the children. We're going to learn each one and see what they're good at. We're going to do different skills that there is, like cooking and sewing and dancing and acting. We're going to put all those things in there. We're going to see what they gravitate to. And when they gravitate to that, then we'll add more curriculum more into it. Do you kind of see what I mean?
Right.
We're learning our children instead of having one set of rules and learning for all of them. See how that's backwards? Because no child is the same. So why all of them have to learn the same? See, that doesn't make sense. Logically, it does not.
Well, I agree with the structure and the way the curriculum is set is actually not built for us to basically flourish in life. I agree with that.
That's
and be unique.
You're right.
And it's evident in the way that they compound with the way that they compile, classrooms. So the way that they compile these classrooms is that 20, 30 kids is in a classroom, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But I agree with the standard nonetheless, because I'm saying without that foundation, right? Without elementary school, you can't possibly know the concepts of middle school, even though, I mean, whatever they got going on with the kids, and we're going to get into that very shortly, whatever they got going on with the kids, they passing them or whatever. Regardless of that, if you can't count, right? If you can't count from 1 to 10, then realistically, somebody can jip you out your own money. When the change come and you know you bought something and you purchased it and it cost $15, you gave them a $20 bill, but they only gave you 4 ones back, and you like, hold up, I can count basic math. I'm missing $1.
But you could be a mathematician and still get ganked.
I'm not saying that you
can't. I mean, you could be a mathematician and still an accountant can gank you. It's like you can make a bad business decision. So it's all the way. Listen, if we did the right thing to each other, you wouldn't have to worry about reading and writing because people would be fair to each other. But people always use that excuse. You got to learn to read and write because if not, people going to get over on you.
They are.
But why do we have to live that? That concept doesn't make sense. That means all people are bad. It's like we start out with that.
Can I answer that?
All of us are not bad.
Can I answer that? Why would we have to live that? Because that's the reality that we were forced to live. Like they literally, and what I mean by they, if you know, you know. But
hey, that's the reason why we built this show.
I know I can say it, but absolutely. Look, we're not even gonna go there. What I'm just saying is we know that they had prevented us from reading and writing. And if they would found out that you could read and write, it was an issue. And why would it be an issue for you to be able to read and write? If you know that, then type it in the comments or whatever. But yeah, why would they systemically force us to not be able to read and write? And it's crazy because most people that don't have cognitive disorders, they can communicate and they can understand language and they can speak language. But reading and writing are two other different components of languages.
Do you think reading and writing is a skill?
To a degree, yes.
And so maybe that's where we get. Do you believe that reading and writing is a skill?
Yes, I do. But it's still fundamental. Like just being able to read and write, like you can't go nowhere around the world. Imagine if you didn't know where the restrooms was. Imagine if you didn't know where to board your plane at if you was catching a plane. Just imagine a lot of things if you couldn't read or write. You know what I'm saying? It makes stuff challenging in some ways, and then in other ways it makes you more inclined to, I guess, it makes you more inclined to be smarter about different situations because you know by experiences, because you don't have to depend on reading or writing. You know of a surety beyond reading and writing that you can get this done, and that's the true skill to me.
Do you think cooking is a skill?
Yes.
Let me reason why I'm asking you that. Because God gives everyone skills. For those who cannot read and write, God has given other skills. to even their life out. But if we feel as though you have to read and write to function, we're going to fail. Let me explain why I stand up for those who read and write. I had two people in my life, very, very important people in my life who could not read and write. And it's extremely as intelligent as ever. Open stores, businesses, communicate. I mean, but can't read and write. Not that they're illiterate, stupid, or dumb. None of that. Mm-hmm. But they had other skills. That's why I said school has got to stop focusing so much on reading and writing and find out the other skills that the children have.
Right.
Before we destroy them.
Right. So.
Because you won't force a kid. Let's say a kid can't cook. That's why I showed you both skills. So let's say a kid who cannot cook, will we chastise them, force them to cook, smack them upside their head, call them dumb, punish them and everything because they can't cook? Do you see? That's the same thing we do if you say cooking and reading and writing are a skill.
Hey, I mean, no, it actually makes sense what you're saying. And I hope it doesn't go over the heads of those people who think that they're book smart. Because a lot of times what I've seen through experiences is that people that are book smart are also street dumb. Like they can't last in the street.
I've seen people with PhDs who don't make common sense
Matter
at
of fact,
all.
A lot of people with PhDs can't survive.
And that's why I said so.
You know what I'm saying?
Be careful for wishing for something.
Your PhD ain't gonna give you no survival in the hood. So I would say you're correct about that. But what I'm saying is,
don't ruin them young kids now. Learn who they are. We might get more out of them.
In this day and age, I mean, outside of having like a mental disorder or disability, however you want to put it, I think outside of having that, then you should be able to read and write in this day and age, because a lot of the reading and writing is being rewritten and being redone in this day and age, and it's going to be up to the future, which is what we're talking about, to be able to understand what they're doing and be able to understand and decipher.
I'm glad you said that, because watch this. One of the people who cannot read and write now, watch this, strangely enough, are so spiritually deep, they go by your feelings, not the words that you say, your reactions and your feeling in your spirit. They are higher than someone reading and writing. I'm just saying. So when all's said and done, you want somebody who really know what they're doing and not always reading and writing it. See, we are ruining our kids by forcing them to be reading and writing at the level. Mm-hmm. And children should be learning who they are at times of being a child. Think about it. Right. That's the most important time of your life.
Right.
To be who you are, learning yourself. So you shouldn't be forced to be better than what you are. You are who you are. And them children got so many other skills, like dancers. Remember I told you some actors and singers, so many other things they can do that we need to be focusing on, and maybe our children won't be behind. Think about it.
So now let's look at this video real quick.
Video time!
Real quick. We don't own the rights to this.
We have to make that clear every time. We don't own the rights.
I'm unsure of exactly who owns this video. I'm pretty sure y'all going to see it circulating on the social media. But our job here is to be more for real. And we're going to talk about it. Let's discuss it. And like I said, we do not own the rights to this video. Let's go.
I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
7th grade English teacher here. I teach in Northern Houston, and I teach at one of the more affluent schools. When I tell you that these babies cannot read, they cannot write, and they cannot comprehend, I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious. It doesn't exist. I have kids constantly asking me, how do I spell window? How do I spell important? How do I spell though? And they be serious. They're dead serious. I could ask them, who is the main character of your story? The story of 4-paragraph story we just read. Can't tell you. They don't know. They don't know.
You wrote.
They don't know. It took us 4 weeks. 4 weeks to get through how to answer a question in a complete sentence.
What you cooking? I made a.
Hey, so that was that video, and I wanted you to pay attention to how The man said that it took him 4 weeks for them to even complete how to answer a question in one sentence. And like, this is where we're going at with so much technology and all that stuff. These kids, to me, they don't have no goddamn excuse why they can't freaking read and write. And then on top of that, why they can't be proficient in the reading and writing, the math and the arts. Because at the end of the day, we use these words. And like I said, everybody is not, I agree with you, everybody is not like that. But what I don't agree with is with the kids. Now, the kids have to suffer that? No. See, what I believe that you guys went through in yesteryear.
Yesteryear, I love that.
Yeah, what you guys went through in yesteryear, I think it should not hold the people back in today's time. You know what I'm saying? Because even before your time, for us to be able to even read and write, it was sacred. It had to be kept secret, lest you be turned over into the masters, and you be dealt with.
But you have to realize we could always read and write. We just couldn't read and write the English language that they were speaking over here. Don't you think we was all over in South Africa could read and write? That's what they try to put in us. We could always read and write, but just like if you grab somebody from Korea and bring them over here in the English language, they're not speaking the language. It's not that there's anything wrong with them. That level, we just couldn't speak the English language. We were from South Africa. That's the language we spoke.
West
we
Africa.
Got along. Well, Africa, period. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where we were from. So we originally could speak and talk and read and write for those who read, but that was the difference over there. Everyone wasn't reading and writing. That wasn't it. Everyone had positions to do. Get what I'm saying? And they were great readers and writers who were storytellers, who told us stories. Because not only they was reading and writing, they were articulate in telling the story. See, God gives everyone skills, and everyone else have different skills. So the storytellers bargain with the ones who can bake and make things, and the other farmers who can make things, and all of them make things, and all the what they call the cabin makers, and everyone bargained with each other. Everyone exchanged their skills for other skills. That's how a village grew together. But we teach people, not black men, white folks teach people that everyone has to learn the same thing at the same time, the same way. But we're not. We're unique. And if black men don't change the things and stand up and lead, we're going to be tossed around and moved around all the way. The criminal system, the school system, whatever system it is, if it's not controlled and run by us, then we're following their lead. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's destroying us at every avenue. We're failing because we're not meeting their expectations. We're not failing because we're less than. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, let's put it this way. If there was a house across the street and I had my house over here and that house across the street learned all these different things, and then they took over the neighborhood and everything they learned in that house over the whole neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Now, the different things I learned in my house, let's say I come outside. So that house has changed the whole neighborhood to all their rules and regulations. So when I come outside, my rules and regulations don't match because they have changed the whole thing. So when I try to do my thing, it don't matter. I'm not failing at it. It's just I'm not used to their rules and regulations. I need my own that works for me. Some of them young children needed someone to represent them. And especially when they have parents, their parents supposed to understand them. Especially when the children come home and tell their parents that they're not getting this right. Do you know what you do as a parent? You'll force your child to get it right because you want your child to get what they doing. You got to listen to your children. If it's not working for them, find out what's wrong. Work with them. That's why I said we can't keep following their curriculum. It's destroying our children. And when it's destroying our young black kings, I have a problem with it. We don't have to catch up to them. Look what they're saying on news today. Oh, none of them math is up to this. None of them reading up to this. None of them up to this. But remember, when you see them around, do you see them less performing?
And I mean, in a way, I certainly agree with you because the curriculum doesn't necessarily fit the times nor people. It don't even matter
but it's
It
destroying.
don't even matter what gender or race or ethnicity. It's like the curriculum. They still teaching us the same basic principles that they had established when schools was created in like the 1800s or whatever. And
Something got to change.
I mean there needs to be some changes.
You all got to do it. That's why I'm on y'all
some
so
changes
hard.
that need to happen with the curriculum, but number one, being on this side of the world and being in this continent, I do think that we should do things the way that the law has already been set. And see what and no, I don't think it's sad because look, the law is set is so supposedly.
What law?
Supposedly
Who created the law?
So supposedly, or
Who
what I should say, supposedly, right? The law gives the people.
You're super intelligent.
Hold on.
Who created them laws?
The law gives the people the right to.
Who created them laws?
The law gives the right to create people government. Excuse me. The law gives the right for people to create government and destroy government and build it up as we see fit. And so that's the whole thing about.
Just said it. So
what I believe in about
those
the law.
laws,
just the concept.
See fit,
and
right?
Even though I know the Constitution is the Constitution, we have people constitutional rights constantly being infringed upon the same people who are supposed to enforce those same laws, or supposedly, which is why I keep saying supposedly. And so it's no doubt that the government needs to be changed, the educational curriculum, all this stuff needs to be changed.
All of it.
But yet and still, we still need to learn the basic concepts. I mean, we speak English for the majority in this country, in this part. I mean, but if you wanted to go into learning a different language and stuff like that, you would do it the same way they teach you in school. The first thing they teach you when you want to learn a language is to learn the alphabet. And then you learn how to count. You learn the alphabet, and you learn how to count.
Yes,
and then from there you build your sentences and all that other stuff. Right, the basic stuff.
And let them alone.
Without this,
and then leave them alone.
Without this, there's
teach
no
them the basics and leave them alone. That's what you do. But we feel as though we got to prepare children for college. See, that's what we do. If you want to tell the truth, that's what we do. We want to prepare our children for college. And watch this. If we got a kid, and nothing is wrong with reading and writing, I love it. It's very good. That's a skill, talent you have. God bless you. Many may have. Like I said, I wasn't no bad reading and writer either. But I'm trying to say, listen to this. If you are not a great reader and writer, that doesn't mean that you are even less than anyone else.
No, by
you
no
got
means
all
am I saying that.
Skills,
by
my
no
friend.
means am I saying that.
Come on, there's
Absolutely
so many
not.
other skills
Absolutely
you need
not.
to use.
Absolutely not. There are people that are autistic, which maybe we could talk about on another show, where people don't understand autism. You know what I'm saying? These people are not dumb. They just are socially awkward, for lack of better words.
But listen, some people are not great at reading and writers. It's nothing artistic about them at all either. Some people are just not great readers and writers. It's just nothing wrong with them. They're just not. Listen, baking and reading and writing, like I said, if you weren't a great baker, you wouldn't say anything was wrong with them, right? If you wouldn't say a person that wasn't good at cooking and baking, you wouldn't say something was wrong with them. You can't say this thing with reading and writing. That's a skill. Remember why I'm saying that, because you raising your generation and your children are teenagers. If you don't get them to be who they are, like I said, you see how they're going out there and isolating themselves to themselves. They feel as though nobody understands who they are.
Right.
You know? And then when they gather together, the blind leading the blind is a dangerous thing, because they got a whole lot of other skills we're going to have to focus on. School got to focus on children, other skills. They got to focus on who children are. You got to get in there and learn who they are.
I mean, how can you do that when you have a classroom with 30 people? You don't got
That's
time.
where the problem comes in. You just said it.
You don't have time.
Too many children for one teacher. Right, that's the solution. You know how we're going to get to it.
Let's go ahead and get a round of applause for that, y'all. You know how we
are on our way to
because real recognize real. So let's go ahead and give a solution for that.
We do. We gotta narrow that big classroom down. Put more teachers in there, and no one teacher need to be in there. They need a couple of teachers need to be in there in that room with students, so you can learn them. And a lot of students got problems with parents when they come in there, they dealing with, how you imagine coming to school hungry, barely got clothes to wear on you. And then if you do got the nice clothes and everything, like some people say you got the nice clothes, you got a mother that barely got up. She been partying all night long with her boo thing. You understand? And their friends. And you got a kid that trying to go to school that they don't learn. So when that kid come to school, he's loaded with issues and problems. But we know that. That's why I say if black men lead, we will understand we have to get in there and resolve those issues. But we don't. You have to realize children are the most important thing. We make a difference when we make a difference. Our black men, we gotta save our children. We do. If not, you see the 14-year-old now that's in trouble shooting up them 30 people. Then the next going to be what we say outside, the 60-year-old kid who shot the teacher. You know, how many warnings are we going to get that these kids are acting out? They are angry. They are acting out. And you know the plan that they have now? They have punishment plans. They have crime plans because they feel as though if they keep prosecuting a child as an adult, they resolve the issue. But you don't realize you can do whatever you want to. That set moving on, it's the next set behind them that's going to do something more devastating than what you just heard.
And I mean, this is BMore4Real. So my solution wouldn't be the same as Uncle Wayne, but let's go ahead and give Uncle Wayne some applause for that.
We're gonna fight hard for these kids.
We gotta fight for the kids, man. We gotta fight.
Now,
for
what's
the
your
kids.
solution? Talk to me.
Part of my solution would be a pushback for you, where we gotta find a fine medium. We gotta find a way to respect our teachers, especially when we have them entrusted with the aid of raising our kids and raising the future generation. We should be listening and giving a listening ear to the teachers. And when they tell us the things that they need for us to do to help our child, we should be there to help our children.
True.
We should be
there to listen to the teachers.
We shouldn't put off the job on teaching our children solely on the teachers alone, but our children should be taught at home as well. So I wouldn't sit there and say that, you know, blame the teacher for your child being uneducated. I would blame the household first before the teachers. I would encourage the.
You said blame the household.
I would blame the household before the teachers.
Where's your applause?
Oh, let's get some applause on that. Let's get some applause. But I would definitely start with blaming the household first. Blame the household first, and charity starts at home, learning starts at home, all this stuff.
Y'all got to remember that charity starts at home.
It starts at home.
Them children learn everything from home.
From home.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Kids don't even listen to what you say. They watch what you do. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how they listen.
Applause, sir.
That's how they listen.
Applause.
Let's get another one, man. Let's get another one.
That was powerful statement.
Let's get another one.
You better remember that.
But we appreciate you guys nonetheless. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely share this with your peoples, man. It's the realest conversation on the planet, man. It's the realest conversation on the planet. Truth might hurt
sometimes. Listen, you got to embrace truth. You grow. You may not like the impact of some of our comments or rebuttals against, but the truth is the truth. And if you don't think it's truth, rebut back. I'm here.
The mic is open.
Daniel here.
The mic is open.
The mic is
always
open.
It's always open. And we're going to give our viewers a round of applause on that one. But the topic of the night. Man, let's go, man. Let's go. We are going here. Black leadership. Now, I know it might look crazy to read black leadership, but you can only put so much words on the screen.
But just listen, black
leadership. And so
sound more understanding to you?
This is not a BBL, this is a BLL. But we want y'all to pay attention nonetheless, man. Nonetheless, put this on your mind, your body, and your brain. The black people, we lack leadership. And what I really wanted to write and what I really wanted to say is that we have no respect for authority. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Black people, we have no respect for authority. And this is important that we got to be more for real about. And I want the people to join in on the conversation on this one because this is a major problem that we have, and it does start with the men in the community and stuff like that. Because we don't respect nobody. It's f the police, it's f everybody, and f the government and all this other stuff. These are the values that we are instilling in the women and the children because they are supposedly following our lead. So that is a double or triple or maybe quadruple
Hey,
edged
look, they can say fuck the police all they want to. They do give police authority. They do. They respect the authority of police. They can holler fuck the police all they want to, but when the police come, they know the deal. That's the problem when I say they say fuck the police, but really they talk about fuck each other. Because that's what it is. We fuck over each other and not care. But when the police come, we run. It's true. I'll shoot you because I own this corner because I don't want you on the corner. But when the police come, I run. Do you get what's saying? Concept that doesn't make sense. We know authority when we see it. We do.
But I'm actually saying like the black leadership part about it because the black leadership,
Bring it right to it.
Because we don't follow anybody or anything. Like, I mean, we can't say you can't say nothing to another man, because he a grown ass man. You can't say nothing to a woman because she's strong.
Grown ass man.
Yeah, because he a grown ass man. And then you can't say nothing to a woman because she's strong and independent, and you can't say nothing to the kids because you ain't their daddy or their damn parents.
Oh, you broke that down, brother.
I'm like,
you thought about this last night?
I thought about it, but it's not just
my brother thought about this last night.
It's not just my thoughts, though. It's just what it is, though. It's just what the Most High gave me this to tell to the people.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? The Most High gave me this to tell to the people because a lot of our problem is we don't have leadership. We don't know how to follow behind something. Mm-hmm. And see, my thing is that what I was telling my sons too the other day is that.
How old are your sons?
My son, my oldest is 12, the middle is 10, and the youngest is 6 months, about to go be on 7 months.
You see what I mean?
But
you the core part of life right there. You see what I mean?
Right. Well, of course.
Core part.
I appreciate that.
Deep.
What I was telling them is that, basically that we have a problem with respecting authority. You understand what I'm saying? So let me break this down like this. I told my sons this, plain and simple. The best leaders make the best followers. There's no way that you can even lead without following correctly because you know how to follow at that point. So the greatest leaders make the best followers because you're following something at that point. How could you lead somebody without even following something yourself? How could you know what your followers are experiencing at following you if you have never followed for yourself?
But remember, that's a delicate balance because being a follower sometimes it's the worst antic. But like you said, you got to get your feet dirty to understand what being a follower is. Now, explain that more. Okay, so remember that because you tell people all the time not to be a follower.
Because in order to lead, you have to know how to follow properly. And I mean, like I said, I really do not like to argue. What I like to do is apply what we know to real life situations and see if it actually works. That's called reasoning or wisdom. So knowledge is just knowing the way, but wisdom is the application. It's the physical, mental, psychological application of said knowledge.
Remember, kings don't argue. We negotiate.
Right.
Remember that.
Right. We reason.
We don't argue.
We do stuff on reasonable terms. And queens as well, and little princes and princesses as well.
But you know what I mean? Hey, look, they are queens in training, or the other way, kings in training. The same thing. Like I told my brother, look at this. I'm a counselor. I be deep. Like when I tell my nephews, but number one, I'm like, you know, you're queen. Let me try you. Say when the queen chases you and leave the children and everything behind, we say, oh, according to the Bible, it's not that as a queen. She's not your queen. When a queen decides to take care of the kids and leave your ass when you ain't doing what's right, that's a queen. Because when you come back, she's taking care of the kingdom, which are your children. You better remember that. But if she leaves the kingdom and chasing you, running you down, trying to tell you something, that's not a queen. You understand? Because she's leaving the kingdom to chase after you. And guess what? You both lose. because you left the kingdom. See, that's what we have to turn. And guess what? Older men at my age not teaching men your age. So it's hard to teach your children. It's time to break that cycle. You got to understand what's going on. You understand? It's time for a change.
Right.
And when you said black lack leadership,
right?
Because that's what the real is. We
Right.
need true leadership.
Okay,
for
my
black
thing is
men.
we don't know how to get behind anything. Notice how and I mean it's not a racial thing, but notice how when all the cultures and the ethnicities, and let me get this out the way too, because a lot of our people, the black people, or why we gotta be compared to white people, why we gotta be compared to Asian people, because if there is not a standard, if there's nothing to compare yourself to, then what is the reason for fixing anything? See, that's the problem with not acknowledging our circumstances and our situation is because if there's nothing to compare it to, then who's to say that you're right or wrong about anything? There cannot be no judgment. There cannot be no critique, which means there is no margin for error, which means that whatever product that you present must be perfect. And we know that it's not. So that's my problem with and then it trickles down into society, you know what I'm saying, in many different ways. But as I was saying, like with our leadership, we can apply this into real life things. And one of those real life things is just learning. So in order to learn, I was telling my sons this too, in order to learn something, you have to listen. And in order to listen, you gotta shut up. You can't be talking. You can't be distracted with
both ears.
You got to use your eyes and your ears. You got to shut up and you got to pay attention.
And you learn to communicate. That's where the issue at. They have the younger generation, your children's generation, have a very terrible time with communicating.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, just like how in order to lead, you got to be able to follow. In order to learn and teach, you have to be able to listen and comprehend.
That comprehend thing again.
So part of being a teacher, like we were just talking about teachers and stuff like that. I mean, everything goes hand in hand. So a teacher must first be a student. They go to school to learn how to be able to teach, and they must be quiet and listen. So a great teacher will be a great student first.
Like that. Maybe that's what we need to do when we start hiring these teachers, not to switch subjects, but think about that. What kind of student were you?
Right. I mean, of course they're going to look at that. They have to pass certain curriculums, which is why I like how they do have certificates, because if you go below a certain grade, you don't pass. Well, at least that's how it used to be.
Look, that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
See,
that's what he was just talking about too. And even though this is the topic of the night, that's what he was just talking about. You know, even though these kids are reading on the 4th grade level in 7th grade, they still going to 8th grade.
Well, let me bring this to your attention, and you said it because you said black leadership. Now watch this. People outside, let's say they're looking at Baltimore, 63% black or higher, a little less, whatever. And you have black leadership all the way around. You got a black mayor, black city council president, you got a black councilman, you got a black governor, you ain't got and even you got a top cop, state's attorney, DA, black. So when people looking at why is it that Baltimore is the way it is with all this black leadership, you can explain that to me, and a lot of them are around your age. What do you think going on? Speak from the perspective, because I'm a little bit confused.
I wouldn't say that I know exactly what's going on. If I told you that, it would be semi misleading. I would just say that I know some of the causes is we don't know how to jump behind leadership.
And you got a black mayor. Let's get that out. Let's get that out. A black mayor. He's young, black, share ideas.
I'll give you an example, and we're going to use the mayor. Of course, the black mayor. We don't follow behind his leadership with guidance. I mean,
what do you mean follow behind? Explain that to us.
Okay, so look, we live, man. I'm
live and real.
We live, man. I'm gonna tell. Look,
live real.
It's just simple concepts. Let's say, and this is what we do instead of arguing, we reason. Let's say, look, I went and I walked to the left. I was in this place. I got to the hallway, and it's a hallway where you can go right or left. And I went left down this hallway. You understand what I'm saying? So if a person was to say that they followed me, they would have did what? They would have went down that hallway and they would have went left when they got to the hallway. There's no way you could go right and say that you're a follower of me when I got to this hallway and I went left, but you got to this hallway and you went right. And so like it's a lot of concepts and precepts that I could give you, but the most important would be Christianity. That's what me and my brothers and all that we be talking about. A lot of Christians even claim that they follow Christ, but Christ followed the law. How could you say that you follow behind some man that followed the law and you don't even do what he did? That does not make you a follower of this man, but Christianity is supposed to be a follower of Christ. But as I digress, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. We got to be smarter than that. We got to be smarter than that. I don't know why nobody is saying that, but like I'm saying, a great leader makes a great follower. Christ followed the law himself, and he was the greatest teacher of us all. He had something. He had something that he was following after as well. So if you want to use that concept, you want to go into there. Christ had something to follow as well. But we don't get into our perception of what we think somebody did and consider that as truth, and we perceive that as truth, and it's often misguided and misleading. We don't have our own perception of truth, and this is our problem with the black community. We don't know how to jump behind people. So when Trump became president, whether you had some white people that didn't like him, white people that didn't like his views or didn't like his religion, they all still jumped behind him, whether they was racist or whether they wasn't racist. They still knew how to jump behind the leader. When you got these other people of other ethnicities and other races, they know how to jump behind the leader so that they can get ahead. You understand what I'm saying? They deal with all the other stuff, all the discrepancies in-house.
Right.
But as far as the world going to see, we jumping behind this man
So let's
or this woman 100%. And this is what we're missing, that leadership. We don't jump behind nobody. It's like, well, I don't like him because I don't like Farrakhan because Farrakhan is a Muslim of whatever sect of Muslims, the Nation of Islam, and I don't get behind Martin Luther King because he was a boule or whatever. I don't get behind these pastors because these pastors extorting money. I mean, at the end of the day, it got to be somebody that lead us. It got to be somebody that we follow in order to make it. If we don't have that somebody that's leading us, then it's just the blind leading the blind. People are sheeple. We are made to be led. This is why when you go to job training. People have a hard time understanding that you train just like an animal, just like you would do a pet, right? You would train them. You would say, hey, come on, sit, do this, do that. When you go to your job, you go to job training and say, hey, come in, into this here, into this there, do this here, do this like this. This is what they do. They train you.
I love the analogy.
They train your tail just like you were a pet. Just as you were a pet.
Let's say we went left, just like you said. Brandon Scott went left. Let's say we did go left. What are we getting going to that left?
So going to the left, what that allows is it doesn't guarantee you will win, but what it does guarantee is that the odds is in your favor. And if there is a wrongdoing, then everybody can be on point and know about this wrongdoing. Oh, this way, this messed up. And see, that's another thing about leaders. We don't give our leaders enough space to make mistakes. That's another part of another conversation.
Let's say we did. Okay, let's say we went down the left.
Right.
Let's say we went down there and we gathered with him. We feel and we believe him. Okay, Brandon Scott, when you made that left, we're going to go on the left with you. We all over there on the left. Let's say we all over there and shit has failed from here all the way down even further. So what, we just hanging there? Because we made the left with him. What do we do if we're not getting any? Okay, remember that he said go left. He's going to give us this, this, and this. So we all went left. So we went this, and we don't get this, this, and this. What are we supposed to do?
So that's a great question. You follow him as he follows the righteous path, not just the right path. And this is why we need to learn important terminology, because just because you're right, it does not mean that you are righteous. And we'll get into that later. Right and righteousness are two totally different things.
Totally different thing.
When they are following righteousness, when they are chasing after the common goal, which is to be right, that is what we follow after. Because we know the common goal is to be right at the end of the day. We know that destination. So we get behind a leader that got our same vision and perspective. And that was one thing that we were talking about a few weeks ago. Um, uh, uh, I think it was off camera though. We was talking about how the young people lack vision. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they lost and they don't know where they're going. You understand what I'm saying? Because they don't see the end result. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's not even about how flashy you are, how much clout you got, and how many people following you, and how much money you got. A lot of times, for them, it's just about the thrill of it, but they don't know the end result of it. They don't know the end. We don't know the final product of it, and so now we out there just freely freelancing with no destination. That means you lost. If you just wandering out here with no destination,
And that
you lost.
Hold that note that you said. That's what happened. How I feel that making that left with him. Now I done made the left and all. I bow down, allow you to be that leader we expect for you. We all made that left and we all here. And things have gotten from bad to worse.
That's the problem. We build with our leaders. We share the same ups and we share the same downs. The same. It's almost like a marriage, because a marriage is not all sunshine and roses. It's not all sunny days. It's not all good days. It's not all good days in health. That's why when you make them vows, they say through sickness and health, rich or poor.
And I agree with that.
And so because
But what
you're
am
gonna
I
have both of the
getting
extremes.
now? If I'm all left, everything fizzing out, and the things that you promise are not coming to nothing, and no fight, and I can't even have a conversation saying, what are you doing not
But
working for us?
how many people are listening to him would be my question. How many people are listening to when we get black leaderships like Brandon Scott and stuff like
Because
that?
they're looking
And
at the result.
One video I did want to bring up.
Yeah,
we running out of time, man. We running out of time. We are really running out of time.
Do the other one for the leadership.
Can I do this video? Let me go ahead and share this. Y'all gonna see another video. This is how we gotta do it for right now. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and share real quick. We got a couple minutes. Let me show you. This is what we do.
Hollywood, you know, there's a lot of like propaganda and stuff like that.
I mean, I never supported Trump or Biden. I never asked to speak to the Republicans or the Democrats. I created a document called The Contract with Black America that spelled out a lot of different issues that we believe were the reason why it was so much unrest after George Floyd was killed. And I released the document, and everybody wanted to talk to me.
What did you think about, like, because you're a Hollywood